We created Free because someone had to stand for the addicts and loved ones of addicts who were suffering in silence, for the spiritual refugees who didn't have a place of belonging. A traditional church model doesn't create space for the conversations we know have to be had. Free is standing with those who are barely hanging on, who are longing for something new. Free is bridging the gap between spirituality and recovery. In this place, God meets us exactly where we are. This is what we stand for.
Everybody, how's it going?
We're good. How are you?
Good. Doing well, doing well. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Seth Botts, the pastor here at Free Recovery. Excited to see each and every one of you join us for the evening.
I'm Matt. As you know, every week we say it together, but there's one thing we don't do here, and that's shame. So if we could all say it together on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
We don't do shame. First of all, if it's your first time here, or maybe you haven't had a chance to connect with us more, fill out a Connect card back there at the pink table. Matt will be there after our gathering. You'll probably get a text from me inviting you to coffee, and you'll get on our weekly email, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Do you read it?
It is.
Probably not.
I do read it.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what's next.
Volunteer.
Volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a volunteer. I'm fumbling it this week, guys.
No,
Sorry.
you're great.
I'm a volunteer. It's a really good way for us all to connect. We set up chairs, do AV. So if you guys are interested in volunteering, please scan the QR code.
Yep. And then this next thing is a few months out, but on November 7th, we're going to the Orville Peck concert after our gathering. Are you going to come?
I didn't know, but yes.
Yes, yeah, we're going to Orville Peck.
Cool.
We're announcing it now because it'll sell out. So just buy your tickets. We just got general admission tickets, so we'll just pack up here and head on to Orville Peck. So if anyone knows Orville Peck, he just recently announced that the reason he had to cancel a tour like 2 or 3 years ago was because he overdosed and almost died, and now he's sober. So there's a nice little recovery journey with Orville Peck. His newest album is actually, you know, any good artist has a sobriety album. And so his newest album is allegedly the sobriety album. Only one song's been released from it. So the way the night's gonna go, here in a minute, we're gonna start off with some celebrations. We'll just pass around the microphone and anything good going on in life. We have a pretty intimate crowd tonight. So there's enough time for every person to share a celebration if they'd like. And so just tell us what's going on good in life and let us celebrate with you. Then it'll be followed by a quick little 10 to 15 minute message on a recovery related topic. Right now we're talking about the spiritual practice of ambivalence, which is just holding two things at once. Last week we talked about how you can be fearful and joyful at the same time. This week we're talking about contempt and love. So in the current political environment, being able to love someone while we still roll our eyes at them is a spiritual practice. Anything coming in between us and our peace is a spiritual practice. Followed by just a quick length of a song to meditate together. Followed by a guest storyteller. Tonight we have Wayne.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Wayne, whether he loves it or not. So, and then we'll close with heartaches. So heartaches are just your chance to share what maybe is a little too heavy to carry out of the room. Those things that we can be praying for you for. And then we'll do a prayer and close. Does that sound good? Sounds good?
Sounds
okay.
great.
Awesome. Well, let's get started with some celebrations. And we know there's good stuff going on in life, even if even in the ambivalent world of maybe heavy shit happening. So, who wants to start? Ash?
Hello, my name is Ash.
Ash.
Just kind of celebrating. Yesterday was a friend of mine's birthday, and we went to the Millennium Park to listen to the symphony play Beethoven's Ninth, and it was just like a good day, good night, just because sitting around with friends and laughing. And I think that was like the first time I had like belly laughed for the first time in like 2-3 months. So
Nice. No belly laughs at the beach?
no,
I see Ash at the beach every time I go. I think he just stays there. I know. We have a similar scouting zone. Yeah.
When you guys have time to go to the beach, doing the wrong
Well,
thing.
I work weekends and Ash's employment status is in the air.
Thank you.
Gig work. The gig work. Go-go boys don't work at 2 in the afternoon.
Matthew O'Clock.
Matthew.
Celebrating, I've been working on getting my license. I've mentioned it a bunch of times here. Finally got my restricted driving permit. 2 days later, my sunroof was smashed in because they thought like there was valuables in it because I have a camera like facing me or whatever. So I was actually on my way to meet Seth.
Yeah.
But what I'm celebrating is like in the past that would have totally like I was so angry like it would have given me a reason to relapse. Like nothing's going right at work. Like just a million things are like seemed to be going wrong, but like I stayed sober through it, and then I ended up like having to vacuum out all the shattered glass out of my car at the car wash next to Heart of Chicago, which like if anyone knows, like I spent a lot of time there, so that was pretty cool to like experience that sober and just like I don't know. My parents are super proud that I'm like staying sober through all this like,
Oh, yeah.
shit, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm celebrating that.
That is a big celebration. Because we have a coping mechanism that'll make us forget it real quick, right?
I can
Until we
relate
don't.
to that.
And then it's worse.
My name is Andy. I'm an addict.
Andy.
Today I'm celebrating 2 years of sobriety.
And we do have a cake for afterwards. And as Andy highlighted, you can tell I made it. So,
With love.
with love. And a little sass.
Joe Addict, my
Hey, Joe.
sister Joan is coming to visit next month, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. And his sister Joan is actually going to be our guest storyteller when she's in town. So we have to capitalize on any women we have the chance of getting, right? Wayne has something.
Hey everybody, I'm Wayne.
Hey, Wayne.
I'm celebrating 15 years at my current employer.
Oh, wow, that's a big deal. What's the average life expectancy at an employer? 2? I think it's 2, yeah. Awesome. Well, glad we all got to celebrate together. And sometimes it's good to remember that there is joy, there's good things happening, and you never know who actually needs to hear it. So tonight we're talking about love and contempt as 2 things that sometimes feel like they go apart, but oftentimes they go together. So everyone has like that person, right? That person that you love, but sometimes makes it a little hard to love. They're not a stranger, and they're not someone. Joe, did you just tap Ed on the shoulder? Ed, do you now feel contempt towards Joe? I do, but I also feel love. Okay, perfect. Ed, come on, let's trade seats. But we all have that person, right? They're not a stranger. They're not someone we want to completely cut out of our lives, but they're not like easy to love. Mine is my cousin. I'm not going to use her name, but me and my cousin, we were actually born a year apart, so we grew up together. So we, not just like Christmas and Thanksgiving, but also like summers at grandma's pool. We have kind of a shared common language because we've done things like butcher chickens together, you know, some real country shit. But somewhere along the line of growing up, like me and my cousin, we decided we were like the 2 black sheep of the family. And it wasn't actually in a sad way. It was kind of like a point of pride. I come from a family where it's all like homecoming queens and college athletes, and like me and Haley, at least in our own like, oh, I said her name. Crap. She's probably not watching. We, in our own like small town way, felt like we were a little punk rock, right? We didn't quite fit in, but we did have each other, and in our minds, it made us the interesting ones. And then we found some trouble together. And we all know that bond develops when you're out there using with someone and partying. And for a long stretch of life, she felt like she was the only person that I didn't have to explain myself to. She knew who I was, I knew who she was, we didn't have to perform around each other. Actually, the first 12-step meeting I went to, it was because she had just gotten out of treatment and her mom wouldn't let her hang out with me for good reason. And so I didn't go to this 12-step meeting because I was trying to get sober or anything like that. I actually went with cash in my pocket to buy drugs afterwards, which I did. But I went there because it was the only chance I had to see her. And somewhere along the line, recovery clicked for me and it didn't for her. And she's been in and out of recovery ever since. She's been in and out of prison ever since. You might know, you might have heard me talk about her. She's the one that was parading on Capitol grounds on January 6th. So there were pieces of us that just kind of drifted apart. And I still care deeply for her, but over time, another emotion started kind of rising up next to that, and that emotion was contempt. The relapses weren't the thing that came between us, obviously. Like, I understand a relapse because I know how that happens, and there's a version of me that is in her shoes in that world. What I can't really get past is what she posts online. This is the cousin that went to prison for involvement in January 6th, so you can imagine what her posts online look like. The posts are aimed at people I love. They're aimed at the people that are sitting in this room. And sometimes they're not even just cruel. Sometimes they're just ignorant. Like, there was this one time where she had a whole post about trickle-down economics. And I'm one class away from an economics minor, and they teach that in economics classes as a fallacy. And for that situation, I actually tried to talk to her about it, right? But she said some heinous shit in response. And after she said some heinous shit, it was actually a transphobic post that she said some real heinous shit on. She goes, "We don't have to agree on everything to get along." But I couldn't really be around her a lot with those kinds of views. It's really hard to get along with someone who posts transphobic, xenophobic, ignorant shit all over the internet. Y'all have someone like that, right? So I have to ask myself, why can I forgive her for all the other harm she's done, but I can't really forgive her for a meme or things she shares online? When she pulls something, it feels like my whole body gets activated, and it isn't anger exactly. It's something colder that feels a little bit more like disgust. One second, she's my cousin. She's the black sheep, the person who I'd chase headless chickens around grandma's barnyard with, right? And then the next second, she's just a position or a problem or a category or a label of a person that it's just easier to cut off and not talk to anymore. And there's a name for that second emotion, and that name is contempt. And you've got someone like that in your life. Take a second, think of them. Everyone, put a name in your head. Nods. Everyone got one? It might be a cousin or an uncle, it might be a parent, it might be the sponsor that dropped you, or someone in the program that you can't really stand, but you have to see every Thursday night. And here's the part no one really talks about, and I'll say it. It kind of feels good to feel better than that person. It feels like clarity, it feels like relief, it feels like something complicated for 30 years or 30 minutes is resolved in about 4 seconds. So are love and hate actually opposite emotions is what we're gonna break down tonight. And can we love someone and still hold contempt for them? There's a concept that I first heard, honestly, in an episode of Desperate Housewives in the early 2000s. But with a little research, I actually learned that it's credited to a Holocaust survivor named Elie Wiesel in the year 1986. And it says the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Because I don't feel contempt for strangers. They have no real power over my emotions. And the ones that get in, the ones that light up my whole nervous systems come from people that I actually care about. The ones that have the ability to really get under my skin. Contempt then would really depend on us caring for people in the first place. If somebody can still hold power over our emotions, they matter to us in some way. They still count. And that's not really a weakness, that's just the way it is. Therefore, love and contempt are not opposites. they actually kind of depend on each other to some level. And I know we're all thinking about one person that we don't love and we contempt, but we'll just put that person to the side, okay? But when my cousin posts those things online, it feels like they're aimed at people that I love. And underneath that, if I'm honest, it feels like they're actually even aimed at me. That's what hurts so much, because it's a deep feeling of betrayal. It feels like she is personally attacking me. She's personally voting against me. She's personally parading on Capitol grounds against me, not someone else. And it kind of tears me up inside. So if contempt is that bad, if it feels so hurtful to do it, why do we keep doing it? Because transferring those emotions from myself, those feelings of shame and hurt, onto someone else makes it easier to process. It ends any sort of ambivalence, and you don't have to hold two things about that person anymore. They're one thing now, and it's that thing is bad. There's no nuance, and there's no owning of my part in it. Just a villain and a hero, and you pick which one you are, and the other person can be the other one. It makes me feel better by placing me in a position of superiority over her. So it's quick, it's free, and no one's ever going to pull you aside and ask you've got a problem with it. So here's the real problem. Contempt turns into resentment. And the big book calls resentment the number one offender. It's that thing that takes us out of recovery more than anything else. Not getting wronged. It takes people out more than relationships or finances. It's resentment. Contempt will get us fucked up, and it takes a while for it to show up if we let it turn into resentment. So how do we navigate that when we despise someone that we still care for deeply? Since human nature hasn't changed much over the last couple thousand years, sacred texts actually have opportunities for us to gain wisdom into what it looks like to navigate complicated relationships. There's a story in Genesis, which is the first book of Hebrew scriptures. It's held sacred by Jews and Christians both. And actually one of the characters in here, Jacob, is considered a prophet in the Quran. So they're actually probably like 3 billion people in the world. Three faiths, a few billion people, and all of them have kept a story about two brothers who couldn't stand each other in their sacred text. And it actually runs across 4 chapters of Genesis. It's in Genesis 25, 27, 32, and 33. So these two men, their names Jacob and Esau, they just aren't brothers. They're actually twins. Esau's older by a few minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in the ancient Hebrew world, that's actually a pretty big deal. And they might be twins, but they navigate the world in very different ways, and there's all these different ways they describe. One's kind of this hunky, hairy man that goes out in the fields and works, and the other one's kind of this little skinny, hairless guy that cooks lentil soup in the kitchen. But there's this one story where there's a day where Esau comes in for working his day in the field, and his brother Jacob, and he's actually like super hungry, and so his brother Jacob won't give him any food until he gives him his birthright. He does it, and he transfers his entire inheritance over for a bowl of lentils. That must have been some kind of hunger, right? Then it gets worse. When their father Isaac is old and blind and ready to give the final blessing, which in that culture was legally binding, so basically issuing his will, Jacob, the skinny little one, covers his arms in hair so his blind father would think it's his brother, and basically steals Esau's blessing. And he lies straight to his dying father's face. I mean, this guy does some fucked up shit, right? And when Esau finds out, the text says he cried out with a great and bitter cry. Then he decides he's going to kill his brother. So Jacob runs, and he's gone for about 20 years. And 20 years later, he's finally coming home, and word reaches Esau that he's on his, and word reaches Jacob that his brother has gotten 400 men together to kill him. Sounds like quite the family trouble, right? So next time you get in a fight with your sister, it probably isn't quite this big. Me and my cousins' political disagreements don't quite reach the 400 men coming to kill, but Jacob's terrified. So he does everything to try to make it better. He sends gifts ahead, and he even splits his family into 2 groups of people. So if one gets attacked and dies, he still has the half of them. Kind of like Donald Trump on the plane this week. That wasn't in my notes. So then he sends his family away and he's spending his last night alone. And the story tells us that he actually wrestles with God until dawn. He goes through this big internal struggle and he comes out limping. This is Jacob. This is the younger brother that did all the fucked up shit. Then the sun comes up and he sees the dust coming of his brother on his way. And instead of trying to kill him, his brother actually runs to him. And what does he do? What would you do in that situation? I'd probably run away. But he throws his arms around his neck, he kisses him, and they both cry together because they'd missed each other. That contentment that had dominated their relationship, that love was brought back. There's no long speech, there's no terms, there's no apology demanded, and after 20 years, and the man gives him a running hug. All that trauma means nothing compared to the love he has for his brother. But Jacob still loves him, and he says, to see your face is like seeing the face of God. And then the part that gets left off when most people tell the story, Esau actually invites Jacob to come, travel with him, let's go on a trip. But Jacob says, go on ahead, my kids are slow, I'll catch up with you later, and Esau goes on. But Jacob goes somewhere else, the other direction, and he builds a house and a life. He was never coming, he straight up ghosts the dude. Jacob's answer to navigating all this trauma and cycle of destruction might just be one of the most overused and honestly misused concepts in both therapy and recovery. He sets a pretty strong boundary. So what do we do with somebody when there is so much hurt, but we still have so much love? The answer to that has to be boundaries. And I know that word's been used on some of you as a punishment that's just wrapped up in therapy language. So what is actually a healthy boundary anyways? So there's three things that I think really make up what a healthy boundary is, and there's three things that make up what a healthy boundary isn't. I think in order for a boundary to be healthy, the number one thing that it has to be is rooted in love. Not the goal to end the relationship, because a boundary at its core is the distance that you can still love somebody from. Jacob says to see your face is like seeing the face of God, and he's saying it to a man who once planned to kill him, and he meant it. What he did later had to have been rooted in love. He was tired of fighting. Many of us have to do that with our own parents. One of my parents continues to be racist, and I say, you can't be racist around me. And he said, one more thing, I'm going to keep being racist. Now we don't do lunch together anymore. And it's because I love him too much to let that keep coming at me and for that to break off our relationship. The second thing that makes a boundary healthy is that it has to be rooted in self-awareness. It's about where you're going to be and not what they are going to do. Saying, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving is a boundary. Saying, I'll come when you apologize is a negotiation. A boundary is about us and not about the other person. What's Jacob's excuse? He says, my children are frail, my flocks are nursing. This is the pace I can travel. He names his own limit, and he never once tells Esau to change. He doesn't say, when you disband your army, which feels like a healthy boundary, but he doesn't. And the third thing is it needs to be rooted in responsibility. A healthy boundary probably is going to cost us something. And you still have a side of the street to clean up. And here's the deal I can't get over. When Jacob presses that gift on Esau, right? He gives his brother a gift back in the scripture. He gives him his mantle back. He returns his blessing to his brother. He recognizes what he did wrong in the scenario and works to rectify it. The boundary was ultimately rooted in what Jacob could do. There's a reason that recovery literature repeatedly talks about cleaning up our side of the street. There's a reason that the 4-step asks us to focus on our part, and there's a reason that an amend demands responsibility. So if those are the three things that a healthy boundary is at its core, right? That wasn't a to-do list, that was the spirit. There's also a spirit that makes a boundary unhealthy. If the boundary is a punishment, that is the number one way to make it an unhealthy boundary. Saying you're dead to me is not a boundary, that's a verdict. Jacob never denounces Esau for trying to kill him. He bows, he calls him my lord, and he even leaves without a parting shot. to the guy who plotted his murder. The Quran actually puts it more plainly than anywhere else. It says, do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being just. That's contempt. It makes you unfair, and a boundary shouldn't make you a nasty person. A boundary also shouldn't function as a way to take no responsibility for your own part in a situation. A boundary that means you never have to make an amend isn't a boundary, that's a hiding place. Step 9 says, accept when to do so would injure them or others. Injure them, not accept when it's uncomfortable for me. And notice the order of the story. Jacob wrestles all night with God first. He tackles his own inner demons first. He comes out limping before he ever communicates with his brother and before he sets the boundary. The distance came after the reckoning, not instead of it. And finally, a boundary is not a performance. Me texting Peter about how I'm doing a boundary against Matt, the two people I probably would never do this to, so that's why this is the perfect example, isn't an actual boundary. That's me talking shit on Matt to Peter. That's all that is. I'm enforcing this boundary against so-and-so to so-and-so. That's a performance. If it has to be announced to someone who will take your side, look again. Jacob never declares anything. There's no speech, there's no announcement. He just quietly goes the other direction and builds a life. If you have to announce it, it's probably unhealthy. So when we're working out the distance we need to love someone, we have to do it with a nice little gut check. Notice how you feel after. If you feel like you just won, that's entitlement and not a boundary. Now, if you feel a little sad, like it cost you something, that's what happens when you love someone and have to create some distance. A few weeks ago, I had to set one with a friend in recovery. For about a year, it had been going in one direction. They'd call me with whatever crisis was happening and never ask me how I was doing. We'd go out and they'd wait for me to pay for the Red Bulls. They never picked up the Red Bulls. They'd call to complain about something they'd caused themselves. I'd offer a suggestion. They wouldn't take it. And then they'd call me a few weeks later complaining and seeking sympathy over the exact same thing. I cared about them. I still do. I just don't have the capacity to absorb their chaos anymore. If I would have kept in that relationship, that love would have completely gone away and it would have been dominated by hate. Or maybe indifference if we're listening to Desperate Housewives. So I took it to my sponsor and I worked on the resentment. I found my part. My part was that I had been enabling for a year. No one had appointed me for the trash bin of their emotions, but through my actions, I'd accepted the position. So I stopped. I didn't announce anything. I just stopped picking up when they were going through it, which seemed to be twice a week. It took about a month before they noticed. I imagine they're doing this to several people. And when they did, I got a string of insults coming my way about how it was my responsibility to listen to everything. It was my responsibility to answer their calls. And I told them the truth. I can't be in a one-way friendship, and I can't be a sponge for your drama. I didn't cut them off. I still care about them. I actually ran into them at a coffee shop this week, and we still had a conversation. I was just unwilling to be a dump anymore. And honestly, I'm a little heartbroken about the distance. This is someone I had some really good experiences with. And sure, it would have been cleaner for me to say a month earlier instead of just going quiet, but I didn't, right? But if boundaries are the distance that we can love each other from, for this person, I couldn't keep loving them at the pace that we were on. So what about my cousin from earlier, the one from January 6th? You'll always know her because I have about 30 cousins. I don't follow her on social media anymore, but I didn't block her. I still love her. Not because she's nothing, but because I know exactly what happens when I do. If I keep following her, if I keep connecting with her, if I keep conversing with her, then eventually I'll resent her again and again. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, every time she posts anyone. It's a re-injury schedule that I choose if I keep engaging in that relationship at the same level. But I'm cordial when I see her, and I mean it. I actually like seeing her, but I just don't argue with her, and there's things we don't talk about. I still text her to see if she's coming to the family reunion. She isn't cut off, but we don't catch up. And I don't want to hate her. That's the whole thing. It's not that I don't want to disagree with her, I just don't want to hate her because she was my person and hating her would cost me something that I'm not willing to lose. So I stay away, and that is the distance in which I can love her. But distance itself doesn't do a thing if we don't do the work on the resentment first. You can put 3 states between you and somebody and you'll still wake up angry if you don't work on that resentment, and I've done it. There's one thing I found that actually moves it, and it's in the back of the big book. There's a story of a woman who's carrying a resentment to her mother for 25 years, and someone tells her to pray for the person you resent. That's actually scriptural. Pray for those who persecute you. And she was told to pray that that person gets everything they want. And she was told to do it every day for 2 weeks, even when she didn't mean a word of it. And I've got to tell you, I've done this probably with 30 people, and it works damn near every time. Typically, the first week, it's hard to even say their name. Then I get it out, and then I'm asking that if they get the 2 things that I want the most in this world, and for me, that's stability and serenity. For each of you, that might be a little different. And at first, I don't mean any of it, but I still say it out loud on purpose, on my knees. I keep going every day. And then somewhere in there, and I'm never really able to predict the day, it turns, not into agreement, not that I approve of what they're doing or what they're doing. It doesn't turn into a phone call. It goes through this pretty typical journey from pity to compassion. And isn't compassion such a better emotion to feel towards someone than resentment? And here's why I think it works, and it has nothing to do with the other person. Because you can't ask for someone else's serenity and harbor a deep hate. Those 2 things do not fit in our heads together. The prayer isn't working on the other person, it's working on me. So let's make it some homework this week, and let's actually do it, right? We're going to take 3 minutes here in a second, and we're going to listen while Cameron Holcomb is playing for Andy's birthday. Wickham? No, that's Phil. Never mind. Whoever's about to play is Andy's choice. But as the music plays, I want you to think of that person that you thought of earlier, that person that makes your blood curdle, that person that you resent, and every time that your name comes up, it just kind of, you might love them, but the hate's feeling stronger right now, and just think and pray for them as we listen to this song of those 2 things that you want the most in this world. Guest storyteller segment. So Wayne is someone I've known for years. I've known you for years, haven't I now? So let's welcome Wayne up as our guest storyteller tonight. How you doing?
All right.
All right? Okay, nice, nice, nice.
I thought the topic was love and contentment,
Oh,
not contempt.
oh.
So I was scrambling as you were.
Well, that's fine. We can hear about being content. Contentment is something we can all use a little more of, right?
For sure.
Well, the first part has neither to do with any of those. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your recovery journey, all that stuff.
Yeah. Originally, I'm from Michigan. I moved to Chicago about 4 years ago, four and a half years ago. I've been coming to Chicago for about 6 years now for my sobriety. And then finally I decided to move here. And yeah, that's, I love living here. It's great for my sobriety first of all, there's CMA meetings and there's AA meetings that are gay that I can go to that
Wait, you're gay?
maybe.
I thought you just like glittery fingernail polish. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been good for my recovery.
Nice, nice, nice. And what does your recovery look like now then?
It's a lot of that, just kind of, just, letting go. A lot of letting go. Before I started using, when I was using and even before, I had anger that was just boiling up inside of me. Just boiling. And I can't hold on to that because it leads me to resentments. And so I just let it go.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah, let them. I remember a few weeks ago we were standing outside and I was like, this isn't your first attempt at recovery, right? And I remember just like sitting there and thinking, gosh, Wayne seems lighter, right? Like what's different this go around that's kind of led to that like noticeable lightness in your soul, right?
Right. I don't know what's super different. It's first of all, I went to rehab for the first time in 30 years.
Okay.
And so that definitely helped. It taught me a lot of things that I didn't know scientifically about relapse and about addiction. The other thing that I learned was it's not that I didn't know this, it's just that I wasn't doing. I wasn't doing the things that were told to me. I wasn't journaling. I wasn't praying. I wasn't talking gentle to myself. I wasn't taking care of my friends. I just wasn't doing any of that. And so now that I'm doing some of that, I'm seeing the results.
Yeah. It's so funny. You're like, oh, well, just a few things like action.
Yeah.
Just a few things like action. So our topic tonight was love and contempt, right? Not contempt, contempt. And in your defense, I probably typoed it.
Maybe.
If we checked our text messages right now, I would bet $100 I typoed it. But you know what? Sometimes the off the cuff response is better than the one you've been thinking about all week, right? Because we all have those people, right? That like are just hard to love.
I got a handful of them.
Yeah. What are some of the like skills you use? Like we heard some of the skills I use.
I mean, it was the same situation as you were telling your story about your cousin. It's my brother. I cannot look at the crap he posts on Facebook or Instagram, and it just drives me up the wall. And I've just had to kind of let him do what he needs to do. After my mom died, we were in the car going up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and not 20 minutes into the car ride, a 6-hour car ride, he starts in on transgendered girls and blah, 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 how they're going to do this and do that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw you out of this car right now. I can't do this for 6 hours.
Yeah, it's hard to have distance when you're trapped in a car, right?
But I also got to let him be himself. That's who he is. It hurts though. It hurts. I mean, I have an uncle that does the same thing, and it hurts because it's like, you have a gay nephew, you have a gay brother, and yet you're saying these things, and it does feel like a personal attack.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's his ignorance.
Yeah.
And so I just stay away. I stay away from him. We talk maybe once or twice a year. That's about it. I don't follow him on Instagram or Facebook. Him or my uncle. My uncle and I have a much better relationship if we don't talk about some of these things. So.
Yeah, my one of the things I do is I don't do one-on-one meals with my dad anymore. I bring my aunt or my sister because at least they'll help me redirect because I'm a hothead. And so I'll check a bitch, right? And since when was checking a bitch effective on me, right? When was it when someone puts me in my place? When did that help me grow at all? And there's a difference too between engaging in healthy dialogue and just being entrenched, right? And there's some things I'm entrenched on. You're not going to be able to tell me that my transgendered friends are different than another person. I'm not going to move, right? I'm just not. And so when we're both entrenched, I mean, there's no real space for healthy dialogue anyway. So just not having it feels like the right answer.
And I'd love to tell my brother off or tell my uncle off, but I also love these people.
Yes.
I would love to pop off on them, but at the same time, it's I love them, so I don't, because I can really pop off on someone if I have to.
Oh, same.
So it's I don't want them to have to experience that either. So.
And when you do, I think a lot of the topics we talk about don't necessarily feel super spiritual at face value, right? But if you harbor a resentment, that will take away your spiritual condition in a heartbeat, right? Getting in a fight for 6 hours. There's my grandmother and my uncle don't see eye to eye on politics. And one time they were in a car together and they got in a fight. And my grandmother is now 87 and my uncle's probably 70. And he went home and had a stroke, right? If being so stressed out you have a stroke isn't the definition of being disconnected from a spiritual condition. And for my uncle, a stroke's pretty bad, but most of our friends will go home and stew. But for us, I think Matt brought it up in the celebrations, right? When we go home and stew, that could have some pretty bad side effects, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I live in that world of contempt and anger and also self-pity, it'll lead me right back to using again.
Yeah, because that's something we didn't talk about tonight, but it's pretty important. We can easily get into that victim mentality, right? When all the people around us are coming one way or people are coming at us or the world is against us, right?
And then I start all or nothing thinking if they don't like me then all these other people must not like me. And then the resentment just grows and grows and grows. And it's not really growing outside of me, it's growing inside of me. And that's what's going to take me right out.
Yeah.
That feeling inside.
Because I can't really control them, but I can control me.
Right.
And that. So one kind of final question before we wrap up this section. So what's something that you've learned about recovery or something that's really important to your recovery that you wish you didn't have to learn the hard way? Or something that you wish people maybe new or struggling right now could hear?
Couple different things. The first one is I've learned that I'm not going to find happiness. What I can find is contentment as well as serenity, and then happiness will find me.
Yeah. Say that again for the people in the back, right? Nothing against the people in the back. No, I feel like sometimes we have this if-then happiness, and then every time it happens, I'm still not happy.
Right. So if I'm content with what I have right now, in this room, with the people that I know and my friends, I'm also happy right now because I'm content where I'm at. If that's not the case, then I need to take action and move. Go to somewhere else. Go to some place where I am content so I can find that happiness again. And then the other thing that I've learned probably the very hard way is that my value does not come from my clean time. My value comes from the fact that I'm a child of God. And it doesn't matter how many times I've relapsed, my value is not based on my clean time.
Yeah, because the inverse of that, right? Thinking our value depends on our clean time will keep us out of healthy places that help us find contentment and happiness and spiritual anchoring, right? We're worth the same in the eyes of God at 30 years sober or 30 years before we get sober, right? 30 minutes before we get sober. Yeah, that's a good one. And I think that's one that a lot of us have, especially during the relapse, because I think sometimes we grow to place our value on our clean time before. And when I think people do it in relationships too, right? Like you put your value on relationships, and then if that ends, you've lost your value. So
The only thing that really matters right now is what I'm doing for my recovery today, not what I did yesterday, not what I'm gonna do tomorrow, but just what I'm doing today.
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Wayne. For the record, Wayne is one of few people that I can go out with. I don't know why. I think our energies are just the same, or maybe he won't post it on the internet. But anyways, and so now we've come to the moment where we talk about generosity. So we've had some exciting developments in the past week. We're moving a little bit closer to getting our own building up in Edgewater, and we're moving a little bit more to where we don't have to deal with a sign on our air conditioning outlet that says that we can't plug things in there. Just things like that, right? And our dream really with Free is to build a recovery hub for the north side of Chicago. Not just a place that we gather on Saturday nights, but a place where recovery yoga can happen. Or Matt was telling us about his plans to start like a financial literacy class for people early in recovery. Just really a hub that provides resources and support for people at different levels of recovery. So we're working on it, and it's moving, and it's exciting. One of the ways we do that is through generosity, not only of people outside of the room, but people inside of the room as well. So we have a QR code and a cash box. Any gift is appreciated. So now we will move on to our heartbreak section. So there's always heartbreaks I like to think of as those things that are just too heavy to carry out of the room alone. There's always a little bit of a pause between heartbreaks, even with even when the group that gathers is a little bigger. So just think in between those and those pauses, I just invite everyone to pray for the person that shared their heartache, and maybe for the person that even maybe didn't share it with us tonight. So just raise your hand. Well, the microphone, for the record, is for the people that are joining us from inpatient treatment centers. So just so they can be part of what we're doing.
Hi, I'm Pete, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Pete.
A lot of you know that I work and run a homeless shelter in Rogers Park, and for the first time in our history, we are out of money. And private donors, government agencies, no one seems to care. So we've had the first discussions about closing our doors next month and potentially putting 70 people back out on the street. And I feel a little bit pressure to raise enough money to try to keep that damn place open. So that's what I'm carrying right now.
Well, we'll be praying for the shelter, but we'll also be praying for you. That's too much for one person to carry. So.
I'm Joe. I was very excited about going to this conference in about 3 weeks in Los Angeles, and I found out a week ago that they didn't cancel the conference, but they canceled the group that was supposed to go, and that makes me sad because I was really looking forward to that. I changed my whole schedule, and I did all of the requirements, and then now this happened. So, thank you.
We're praying for you that when you hope for something and it kind of goes away, that's a hard one too.
I'm gonna share one.
Okay.
I was at a wake this morning, and your message kind of flipped my mind because I saw some people I partied with, and I heard some of them weren't doing well, and I almost felt good. It was like, oh, I got it figured out, and you don't. And some of those things, people did some bad things to me, but it totally changed how I feel about it right now, and I just want to pray for them because one of them lost their mom, and even though they did some bad things to me throughout addiction, they were in addiction too. So, yeah, now I feel different. Instead of feeling good about their loss, which I'm embarrassed to say, and their tough times in life, I really my heart goes out to them, and I hope they all find peace and
Yeah.
serenity. So thank you for your message too.
Yeah, prayers for that. And this week I've been thinking a lot about the people that it doesn't click. You know, I think in writing that story about my cousin, it just made me sad. You know, so prayers for them. We have time for about one more. Anyone has one?
So we're a small group tonight, smaller than usual, and my hope and my dream is that everybody who's not here tonight is not here just because they're not here and not because they're struggling. But I know that that life can be really hard for folks. So just thinking about the folks we usually see who aren't here tonight and hoping they're well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always hard when we journey with people for a season and their season leads to pain. So we'll be praying for all the people that are normally here that, you know, we'll hope that they're at a festival, right? We'll hope that they're out doing something like that. So, and I say it every week, and I'll probably say it every week moving forward. There's some things we aren't just quite ready to share yet, and that's okay too. And so you can reach out to someone else in the room. Martha is great to pray with you. Peter, Matt, there's people in this room that have really big hearts and will care for you, even if you weren't quite ready to share that publicly yet. So thank you for the trust you put in the room.
Thank you, Seth.
Yes, thanks. And so now we will close with one of the 3 different prayers that come from the 9th step in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So if you will, join me. God, please show me how to find the way of patience, tolerance, kindness, and love in my heart, my mind, and my soul. God, show me how to demonstrate these principles to all those about me. Amen. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you had a good experience, invite someone, and if you had a meaningful experience, invite someone and bring them back. If you didn't, come back next week and we'll try again. And there's cake for Andy's 2 years too. So if you want to see my cake decorating skills, which are virtually non-existent.